Well, would you look at this volatility? The dollar is creating a lot of volatile price action, and how are we going to deal with that? Well, we're going to cover that in this video. A big news week this week, as we mentioned at the beginning of the week. My name is Dima, and let's have a look at the economic calendar as always to begin with. Welcome to the Tuesday's technical analysis, and let's see where we head off to the rest of this week in this heavy news week. Quick look at where we are at right now. We have had a Monday pass with some minor euro news and CAD. Tuesday we have just passed with the yen news, the CAD news, some dollar news, and we are going to have some New Zealand news as well. The main one that we looked at was the yen, Bank of Japan, that's done. And then we have the next one on the list, New Zealand news, and we also have Swiss, and of course the big one, the Fed rates tomorrow, FOMC tomorrow, and another statement from Canada there from the Bank of Canada. Big news day, watching out for that. If you're not sure, I would advise, just my own personal advice, to stay away if you're unclear, and it might be wiser to protect your capital, manage your risk as always, and do make your own decisions. On Thursday we have big news on the pound, and then on Friday we have CAD and dollar with the NFP. As we mentioned at the beginning of the week, again, major news week, very busy. Let's see what the charts are showing. Keep in mind what we've got going on tomorrow if you are looking at the charts tomorrow. All right, then let's begin with the dollar, as we do as always. Lots of choppiness, lots of range bound behavior here. We have got our short list as always, so let's go through that. What can we see? Well, we have had a break. Dollar has not continued higher from the levels, but instead broke down and come down to these levels, and now here it has pushed off, breaking new structures to the left, which indicates that we are now, again, the momentum is back to the upside, as we already looked at earlier. However, because of this rangy movement, it is quite tricky, quite choppy overall. So now what do we do here now? Well, we have this reaction with this massive candle. The idea is to the upside, and let's see whether the level, the most obvious level that we have here, will now hold, and whether we have this type of thing now that we've broken here. This will still be our invalidation point until we clear the next one, the next break, which will be up here. Once we clear this break, this low becomes the invalidation point. That will be later. So let's just put a question mark on this one for now, because it's not yet done. But the bias overall is to the buy side. We do have, again, rates, FOMC, NFP. Would not be wanting to take any risks with this. Let's see how the price action turns out, and whether we do actually have a break to the upside to continue higher. Pound dollar was a bias of going to the downside, and what do we have? Well, we outlined our area. Let's look on the lower time frame. We had the invalidation, which is what happened. We broke through that. We left this wick to the upside. We did not break and close below this low over here. As you can see, it was just about hanging off it, just piercing through it, I should say, and we did not quite reach into this area. But it seems that we may have had some funny price action. Perhaps this is a reversal, perhaps not, I don't know. Again, this is a dollar pair. We also have pound news, so what can you say? This is a riskier scenario. So for the moment, with this being the area we're interested at now, the invalidation becomes the previous high, and the idea becomes something like so. And then we want to see a break this low now to head lower. The other scenario is just a break without heading higher and then pulling back to get a better price and then heading back to the downside. Let's see if that happens, or if it doesn't. There will also be a trend line here if you want to draw that. It's up to you. And this is what I'm seeing. It's very choppy. This big range bound behavior is a messy place to work with. So really wanting to be more careful. Let's go to the next chart, which is dollar CAD. Dollar CAD we looked at here as the buy scenario and continuation buy. What do we have? Well, beginning of the week dropped into our level and created this choppy behavior before finally having this pin bar and moving further to the upside. What do we see next? Well, this was what we marked before. Planning our trade and trading our plan. Here's the break. And what we have next, we can look on the lower time frame. And the idea would now be this area. Let's get rid of this mark. And this would be the scenario into the upside. And now the last low we moved away from, I'm going to keep this as the invalidation point. And let's see if this happens. Now we may get another low. Either way, the invalidation point is marked out. We can now move this away. We don't need that. Let's have a quick look on the higher time frame. This is what it looks like. Reaching into this initial target point, which is why we're hesitating here. And now this level, on this level is a bit of hesitation. Now we want to see the next push higher. Let's see if we do get that. And we want to see that very nice clear swing, clear price action to head into the upside. So that's dollar CAD. If you like this video, click on the like button, make a comment. If you want to have a discussion, if you've got your own charts to share, feel free. It's an open forum. So yeah, this is all public and you are welcome to share your thoughts. And okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is Euro Pound. Why were we looking at Euro Pound? Well, as you can see, we wanted to continue on the buy. Here was the level. Here's the level that we reached into. And what was the buy scenario? Well, it was this area here. We gapped, punched right into it on the Monday, and then once again, and then headed higher, reaching into the level. And there you go. Have we broken through this range? No, we haven't quite, because we have just poked above and came back down. What does this mean? Well, let's now reassess and reanalyze now that we have reached this target. Remove this and let's look at the next possible or likely target. The short-term one is here on this wick that we can see, which is a swing on the lower time frame, and then we have the next one up. What do we expect? Well, we are looking at continuation of the buy. Therefore, we want to get a good price in order to buy the market. What do we have is we have choppiness here, and what we can see is that the market is really messing around, really hesitating around this level. Where next from here? Well, we're going to have to leave this alone, because what we want to see is really a much better price if we've got this hesitation, and then continue to the buy side. That will be the preferred scenario. However, because of this range, this big range, big choppiness that I drew out earlier, this is neither here nor there. If anything, it's an expensive price and we don't want to be buying that just yet. At least we've got this trend line which can be broken. Let's see, especially with the heavy euro news week and pound, of course, with the rates. Want to be careful on this one. And what I'd like to see is a some kind of swing and continuation higher. But so far, it's too early to tell. The invalidation point will still be here. Let's see if we break it or not, and then reassess. The safer option, if you want to call it that, or I should say the higher probability, is a break of this structure here, the last high, and then, as you could probably tell what I'm going to say, pulling back to a cheaper price and then continuing higher. But that may be a few days after the news, and next week, and who knows, maybe the week after that. For now, we're going to have to observe. It's very choppy and very messy, and we'll leave that to the side for now. Let's move on to the next one, Euro New Zealand. It's another one we were looking at buying. We hit our levels. Now we're looking at the next one, lower time frame. We have had, again, similar to the Euro Pound, what's happened is the market dropped right at the beginning of the week. If this was the idea, we would have taken some heat here. Here was the invalidation. We did not invalidate it, and we continued to go higher. Now that we're going higher, the next level would have been here, which we have now breached through. So the invalidation now becomes this low. And once again, we have New Zealand news. So really, it's riskier to trade before the news, and we want to see how the price action plays out. What would be preferable is to anticipate the market to come back above this level, and once it does, then a pullback to a better price and continuation would be what I'd be favoring in order to increase the probabilities to the upside. For now, we're coming back, breaking these lows. It's quite choppy, and let's see if we have a continuation of the push to the upside. As you can see, once again, in a way similar to the Euro Pound, this range, and the idea, safer bet, will be the break through it. However, if you're looking at something a bit earlier, this would be the idea for me. We've got our level here. Can now delete this one. It's a validation. And now we've got our parameters set. The previous level was here. Therefore, in theory, just as a reference point, just as a kind of a gauge, we should hold this level that we have previously identified. Or at least the market should not close below it. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess, on this time frame. Okay, that is Euro New Zealand. Let's move on to Euro CAD, another one we're looking to buy at the beginning of the week and head higher. Let's have a look at what we actually have at the moment. What do we have is, again, like Euro New Zealand, a drop as we marked out here. We looked at a drop and then continuing higher into the next levels. So let's have a look again. We had that drop. Here we have the reversal and continue higher, and now we are ranging. As mentioned, that we may get some kind of turbulent behavior, uncertainty, kind of range. Price will not be so clear on this line, this trend line, because we are reaching a point of contention, whatever you want to call it, a confluence point. Doesn't matter what you call it. The point is that many traders' eyes will be on here, and it makes it lower probability. Let's see again what we have. We have major CAD news this week once again, so expect there to be, don't be surprised if there is, I should say, not expect nothing, but don't be surprised to see if there is more volatility. For now, the safer idea is to step aside and wait for the news, possibly next week, until there is more clarity. We're still bullish. The next invalidation point would be the low of the swing that we were interested in. And now we shall see if this holds. The best idea would be to see more price action and clearing these levels again to continue higher. But if not, we collapse further, then we will look, collapse and invalidate. We will look at a better price and then the downside. So if we clear this initial level we looked at, come back to it, we will look at the downside. For now, we're in a place of uncertainty and really not clear until we have further price action, further information from the market in our favor. So let me just get rid of that. So what I wanted to do, so the break above here, like this, pull back to a better price and then continue higher, would be of interest as well. Let's see what happens. This is a very deep kind of retracement level out of this entire swing on the higher time frame, and therefore don't want to be really buying at an expensive area. As always, we keep saying that it's not favorable, is it? Okay, Aussie New Zealand, let's move on to the next one. Aussie New Zealand is one we looked at the beginning of the week as a bullish scenario, and what do we see? Well, I looked at the market to retrace into here and then continue higher. However, I did mention that if we hit the target, this will no longer be valid, and therefore this is what happened. Therefore, we're not going to look at this anymore because the target has been hit, the target has been met, and therefore any retracement now would be suspicious. We could just end up in a range as we've hit this high, or reverse, no idea. For now, it is best to step aside and watch. What do we watch for? Well, we see if we have an invalidation, in which case we're going to come back into the point of interest that we had initially, which was down here. And if we clear the high, then clearing the high and this price action, a break right through, pulling back and continuing higher would be higher probability. So again, just like the Euro CAD, Euro GBP, sometimes you just need to know when to step aside and do nothing. Okay, last but not least, the stock market indices, the S&P 500, US 500, whatever you want to call it. We had our level right here marked out. We are heading into there. We have not yet reached there, just about touching that point, and we want to see is a reversal, which we have not had, which makes sense because again, news, FOMC, NFP, rate statement. We shall see if this plays out or not. It may be that we have to wait until next week because of NFP and we will have a bit more clarity, but the downside bearishness is still the preferred outlook. And we've got our invalidation point here in case the market breaches that. The downside is still the preferable scenario. We are slowly petering higher bit by bit, making higher lows and higher lows and higher highs as expected. And now we have to patiently sit and wait and put your hands under your thighs and see where the market goes from here and whether we have our actual expected idea unfold. All right, that is it for this week. Let's have a look. Again, the dollar is the major one to watch for. The news, big news. This will require patience. This is a kind of week where it can test your level of discipline and patience with the price action. But in the end, it's worth the wait if you do it correctly. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next video in a couple of days, and bye for now, and keep a watch of the price action, and I'll catch up with you on Thursday.